Hello everyone. In this video I will go over an atlas tree that is suited to crafters who want to be self-sufficient and craft themselves or want to sell the materials to crafters. While I'll acknowledge that fossils are a big part of crafting, I would argue that Delph is a mechanic who mostly has to ignore everything else to be really efficient. Before we start, I want to mention that this atlas tree assumes that you have most, if not all, of the unveiled crafts from Betrayal unlocked. The mechanics that we invested points into are essences. Some essences are needed for certain crafts. Essences are also a good baseline if you start crafting. Metamorph for the catalysts that allow us to improve our items. Harvest gives us a lot of crafting options. And Beast gives us crafting options that are not possible to get anywhere else. So let's go over the atlas tree. For essences, I took Prolific Essence. Your maps contain an additional essence. Crystal Resonance. Monsters imprisoned by a shrieking essence in your maps will be duplicated when released. Corrupting imprisoned monsters in your maps cannot release them. Crystal Lattice. Imprisoned monsters in your maps have a 15% chance to have 3 additional essences. And Amplified Energies. Essences found in your maps are a tier higher. The metamorph nodes are replicated results. You can assemble an additional metamorph in your maps after the first is dead. Organ donor, metamorph bosses which drop an itemized sample drop an additional itemized sample. Itemized samples found in your maps have an additional reward. Wealth of knowledge, metamorphs in your maps have a random modifier to dropped items. 250% increased quantity of items dropped by metamorphs in your maps for each monster modifier on them. 1000% increased rarity of items dropped by metamorphs in your maps for each monster modifier on them. Unethical experiments, metamorphs in your maps grant 1000% increased experience per 10% of VAT filled. Metamorphs in your maps have 0.5% chance to drop an additional metamorph scarab for each 10% of VAT filled. Escaped experiment, your maps have 40% chance to contain a rogue metamorph. Catalyzing fluids, metamorphs have 10% chance to drop an additional catalyst for each magic monster sample used to create them. Metamorphs have 20% chance to drop an additional catalyst for each rare monster sample used to create them. Metamorphs have 50% chance to drop an additional catalyst for each unique monster sample used to create them. Fine specimens, metamorphs in your maps deal 15% more damage. Metamorphs in your maps have 150% more life. 30% chance for rewards from metamorphs in your maps to be doubled. And the last note, this one is optional. You don't have to take that. You can invest these points into other nodes if you want to. I just took them because I think it's a nice quality of life improvement. Imperfect anatomy, 30% reduced magnitude of damage granted to metamorphs from what fill in your map. 30% reduced magnitude of life granted to metamorphs from what fill in your maps. Okay, let's come to beasts. I took this note over here. Hunting season, randomly encountered master missions in your maps have 100% increased chance to be Einhar. Master missions from completing your maps have 100% increased chance to be Einhar. Then I took this big note down here, Animal Companion. Your maps have 4% chance to grant an additional Einhar mission on completion. This big note is not so important. These small notes are though. Bestiary, beast duplication chance, 3% chance to create a copy of beast captured in your maps. Big game, yellow beasts in your maps have 15% chance to be replaced with red beasts. And the next big note that we take is the hunt for a kraken. Red beasts in your maps have 100% increased chance to be from the deep. The reason why we take this note is the simple fact that the beast that gives us an imprint of our items is from the deep. Natural selection, beasts in your maps are more likely to be less common varieties. And the small notes, bestiary red beast chance, your maps that contain capturable beasts have 5% chance to contain an additional red beast. And the last beast note, Great Migration, your maps with Einhar missions have 8% chance to contain additional packs of beasts instead of other monsters, plus red beasts in your maps have 4% chance to appear in pairs. And the last mechanic that I invested points into, of course, Harvest, Bumper Crop. The Sacred Grove in your maps has 50% chance to contain an additional harvest. Bountiful Harvest. Harvest monsters in your maps grant 200% increased experience. Harvest plants in your maps have 10% chance to spawn an additional monster. And this note here, Call of the Grove, your maps have plus 15% chance to contain the Sacred Grove. Is kind of optional. If you guarantee the Sacred Grove through a Sextant, you don't have to take this note. If you don't want to make the investment, I would highly recommend that you take this note. Doubling Season. Life Force dropped by harvest monsters in your maps has 10% chance to be duplicated. And Heart of the Grove. Harvest crops in your maps have 60% increased chance to contain a tier 4 plant. Harvests in your maps have 10% chance for the unchosen crop to not. Well, my recommended map tier for this Atlas tree is in the lower ranges. I would say 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. Simple reason for that is Essences does not care about the map tier. Metamorph does not care about the map tier. Beast cares about the map tier. You get a lot of bad beasts at higher map tiers, and the beast that gives us an imprint already spawns at the lower tiers, so why go up? The only net negative that we have perhaps is Harvest. You get less life force, but I would say since we are clearing the map faster, we kind of make up for it. Okay, let's talk about the Scarabs. For beasts, I would recommend that you at least use a polished bestiary scarab, and for metamorph I would recommend that you use at least a gilded metamorph scarab since they are pretty cheap anyway. Essences will be guaranteed through the map device, and harvest will most likely be either not guaranteed or we guarantee it through a sextant. Sextants to consider. If you want to guarantee the Sacred Grove on your maps, I would highly recommend buying this. Your maps contain the Sacred Grove. The next sextant that is considerable would be this one. Life Force dropped by harvest monsters in your maps is duplicated. Harvest monsters in your maps have 100% more life. Harvests in your maps contain at least one crop of blue plants. This also works with purple and yellow. So if you want to farm a specific color, this will help you out. And the next section is for Metamorph. Catalysts dropped by Metamorphs in your maps are duplicated. Metamorphs in your maps have 100% more life. And the last one is for Beasts. Create a copy of Beast captured in your maps. This one is a bit tricky since it requires you to know which beasts you should kill and which beasts you should not kill. Your menagerie has a cap of 1000 beasts. If, for example, you capture a beast and you are over that 1000 threshold, it will replace a beast in your menagerie. And we don't want that. Right, enough theory talk. Let me show you an actual run. I will run a tier 4 cemetery map with increased quantity, a polished bestiary scarab, a gilded metamorph scarab, and a polished divination scarab. And we will take essences on the map device.
My mana is gone.
Bring the beast in my sights, exile! The first one to look upon this we will be best friends, beast. The first one to look upon this slaughter you! Do not hurry, little
This way,
beast! You
exile.
we are friends now!
We need not the fruit, just the juice.
Of alchemy.
We need not the fruit, just the juice.
Of alchemy. Orb 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 of alchemy. alchemy. Orb of
I'm not up
alchemy.
to that just yet.
First one, look upon this capture with pride. You are well prepared for the hunt. Well, this is a fine capture. This one is captured. I now
Orb
take
of
it.
alchemy. Orb of alchemy. Orb of alchemy.
My mana is gone.
Orb of alchemy. Orb of alchemy.
Alright, that concludes the video. I wish you guys good luck with this tree and I hope you will craft some amazing things. Bye!